We'll go through these, not wondering how many, 5 or 6 meetings very quickly. Today the Who's are on at Rosehill, and we'll go back to today, a week ago at the provincials, and that meeting was on at Kembla Grange. We had a slow 7, the rail was 3 metres out, and there was no bias on the track, I thought. There were leaders that won, and they came from behind, stayed near the fence, and middle splits and so forth, no bias. We went to Warwick Farm on Wednesday, where we had a good track. The rail was 5 metres out from the 1,000 to the winning post, and it was 3 metres the remainder of the track, and there was a steady breeze coming out of the northeast, and again, I don't think there was any bias on the track at Warwick Farm. They led and won, and they came from behind. I'm going to treat it as a fair track. We went to Wyong on Thursday, the 5th of Feb, where we had a soft 5. The rail was 2 metres out, and maybe the fence was a little bit iffy, but we did have leaders that won. For instance, in the third race, the winner and the very well backed Loyalist, $20, 20 to 1 chance into a 9 to 1 chance, $21 into $10, jumped half, pulled a bit on the very talented Samantha Clinton, and she let it stride, and which was the right thing to do, and it absolutely trotted in. And there were 2 or 3 big plunges on horses at Wyong on Thursday that were pulled off. The first winner, trained by Barton James Cummings, Il Maestro, it was $4 into $3, 3s to 2s, and the opening favourite in that race, Captain Planet, this was a disaster for bookies because it didn't have a price. It went from $3, we put it up to 2 to 1 favourite, and it got out to $7.50 at the end of betting. It was a bad. Well, we put it up 2 to 1 second pick. We put the second horse up 6 to 4 favourite. There appear to be the only 3 chances on paper, and Society Queen led on the fence, and the winner ran all about on the when you watch the replay on the turn, ducked in and ducked out, but was far too good. They beat the others easy, and as I say, Society Queen did start favourite. We put it up to 6 to 4 favourite, got out to $3, came back into 7 to 4 at the end of betting, but the winner was by far the best back, 3s into 2s, and as I say, there was in the third race, Loyalist was 20s into 9s, and there was another runner here that will keep yourself, was $5 into $4.20 in the 5th race, very well backed, and the second pick in that race, Shania, didn't have a price, and then we found in race 6 the maiden performer, Fly Till Dawn, Get Home, and it was found by one of the pros, as was the first, and was that runner Loyalist, and it was back from 20s into or $19, an 18 to 1 chance, into $10, extremely well backed, and it got the cash. So there were a few plunges pulled off there at Wyong, and even though I say, well, the last winner led all the way in the fence, and the Loyalist led all the way in the fence, so I'd say there most probably wasn't a disadvantage to those on the fence. So I'll take that back. The wind was with them up the straight for the first few races, then it switched around and became easier in the day to slightly from a more or less a southerly to a southeasterly, but the wind didn't have any effect on any runners. We went to Canterbury last night, night meeting at Canterbury, the rail was 6 metres out. The track was good, and Canterbury raised its head back to the greyhound track that it was nicknamed, going back quite a while now. But as I said, Canterbury, as I had said, Canterbury has been racing very fair. There are for quite a while now, runners being able to come from behind, middle splits, leading on the fence. But last night it went back to Canterbury Park. It went back to the greyhound track. I don't know that the curator at Canterbury, they must do something. They must have some idea. Not that the track's doctored by any means, but whatever the trick there is, I just can't work it out, because the track just all of a sudden swung around to where we saw the first winner, the very well-backed Stevie Boy, having his first start, trained by Peter and Paul Snowden, ridden by Josh Parr, jovial Josh Parr, go to the lead and trot in, absolutely trot in. Found the lead, as I say, the lead in the fence. The next winner found the lead in the fence. Shahrazad, another first starter, trained by Bart Cummings, James and Bart, of course. James, he's the man there, and ridden by Timothy Clark. Timothy Clark, what a good boy he is. And it led all the way in the fence. And then, of course, we saw race 3, the 1900 metre race. Well, first, the placings were 8, 5 and 1. 1 led on the fence, 5 sat directly behind it, and sucking up behind number 5 was the eventual winner, Waldenstein, and it never went around a runner. It kept on railing up. So first, second and third were 1, 2, 3 on the fence. We saw Harry Hotspur lead all the way in race 4. We saw in race 5 the Avery Mersault go straight to the lead and lead all the way. We saw in race 6 a runner come from back in the field, Mienko, that it was on the fence till halfway around the bend and then eased off heels, so it saved ground for at least 2/3 of the race, or half of the race, and then got middle splits. And the runner that led in that race was the Jackrabbit Quell. It was very suspect of getting the distance, but the winner was on the fence at one stage. And then we came to the last, and it drew barrier 1, Sinjoran, and didn't take a sit from barrier 1. He said, "No, I'm going to hold the lead, Beloy." He held the lead, and he fought on too well. So it was quite evident last night that the fence at Canterbury Park raised its noggin again and became a greyhound track. There's a good chance once that it starts getting into that greyhound situation, Canterbury, it seems to stay like that. If we don't have a change in conditions with the track, or maybe it has to have something to do with the irrigation on the track, I'm sure. But anyway, we'll see what happens there next meeting. We went to Rosehill today, where we had a good track. The rail was 3 metres out, and you could save ground on the fence and win. And interestingly, there wasn't one leader to win. The first race we had a very, very light breeze, nothing at all, more or less, coming out of the northeast, just every now and again a bit of a flutter. But then as the day went on, the wind from the northeast did pick up, and by the last race, it was a good steady breeze. Now that could have had something to do with no leader winning on the day. There were runners that sat outside the lead. The first winner sat outside the lead, the favourite Marble Miss, but there were runners who saved ground on the fence, but there were, interestingly, no leaders to win. And as I say, the favourite won the first race, Marble Miss, has won his last 3 starts now, trotted in at Wyong, beat the runner that won last night, Mersault, easily at Randwick last start. Good old Muggins here. I gave $2.60 about $2.70 at one stage, $2.60 for a good bit of section, and as I say, set outside the leader, Kentucky Dame, who finished up running last and finished in the middle of the track, pulled up laying. It's trained by I Own the Lead Gay, and but it was Marble Miss. When they flattened out for a few strides, it looked like runners were going to get hold of Marble Miss, but at the line, the favourite, she was doing better than was holding every runner at bay, and if not doing better than any other runner. And look, saving ground on the fence, runners did and win, but nothing went right along the fence and won and stayed close to it. So there's a good the wind and also the inside section of the track the wind and the inside section of the track were the deciding factors that no winners led and won close to the fence. Whatever I'm trying to say, I've had too much of this beautiful oh my goodness, it's very nice, isn't it? I'm just about to have, after I finish this, some turnips on toast with some plenty of butter and some salt and pepper, because the Grumble and Grunters absolutely garrotted me today. They stripped me high and dry, as they did at Wyong, on Thursday. Forget about the other meetings, they were no good either. Now, race 2 came along, and here we saw the favourite Centre Pivot, ridden by James McDonald, sit back in the field. Instead of going around him before the turn, he went in between Single, who was on the fence, and Successio, who was on his outside. He got a split and then got to the outside of runners and rounded up the leader, Black Jag, who got an easy lead, to beat it by half a length only, but rounded it up well enough, and it was extremely well back. We put it up $1.70, got out to $1.90, and came back in to start at $1.70 at the end of vetting. Race 3, here we saw Adora Beale from Barrier 1 not lead, but sit directly behind the leader on the fence, who was Britann, and on its outside was the favourite Pajero, who went very ordinarily, and coming from, well, it got the split. Well, it got around the, no, did it get the split? Yes, I think it did. It got the split of Adora Beale in between the two leaders turning for home, and was far, either did that or got around the heels of Pajero, one of the two. And it proved far too strong, won by a length and a half, beating Chestnut Road, who appeared to be held up, but was only slightly hampered, went easing off heels, had its chance, ran on from sixth position to get second, beaten a length and a half, and coming from second last and well back as the field got to the 800 metres mark. Spread out was the 50 to 1 chance. No, what am I talking about? Monterio. It was it was well, it was one of the roughies in the race. A $17, $18 chance. It came from second last, made up ground down the outside, but it was beaten 3 lengths. As I say, the favourite went very ordinarily there. The winner, well, its run last start when it couldn't get up in the inside of Mardy proved that run had topped it more or less off after having, today it was fourth up from a spell, and it was far too good. I laid it extremely well right towards the end of betting. Someone had 1,000 on with me at $6.50, and I laid it well before that, and went on with it at $6.50, and then $6.50 again when they jumped paying the penalty. And luckily I couldn't lay it towards the end of betting. Britann was well backed in that race after $6 was given, came into $5 one stage and got back up to $5.50. And Pajero, the favourite, well, it opened up $2.10 and came back into evens at one stage. It got back up to $2.10 towards the end of betting. And as I say, it went fairly poorly. Race 4, well, here we saw the English Classic for the 2-year-olds, and the favourite here, Odyssey Moon, well, it had its chances, sat in 3rd position. It led on the fence, which mightn't have been the place to be, even though it didn't stay close to the fence in the straight. But that wind or that inside could have taken care of it. It ran 3rd. I'm talking about the easing second favourite, Serenade. It opened up $2.80, got out to $4, which you wouldn't see, back into $3.40 at one stage. It got back to $3.70 and 80 towards the end of betting. And as I say, it led. The very well backed him named Jim, the runner from Melbourne, who was extremely well backed, put up $11. It got out to 15 and was backed in 2 or 3 waves. They took the 15 back into 12. We reached for it again, back out to 13 and 14, back into 12, and then they took the $12 towards the end of betting again. It sat outside the lead. The favourite, Odyssey Moon, sat 3rd. Tucked away on the fence was the very well-backed Lady Sniper, who opened up $13, got out to 17, but only started an 11-to-1 chance, so it was 16s into 10s towards the end of betting. It sat 4th, and on its outside, the place to be was Lady Zhivago, who was involved in the protest race at Wyong last start. Got into a lovely position, ridden by a very underrated Grant Buckley, and it proved a little bit too strong at the finish. But this could have been emphasising how the inside might have been a bit worse, because number 3 in this race, Ideal Express, who was well back in the field and always well off the fence, and the 5th place getter, number 2, Darts Away, a 60-to-1 chance. It got to the outside in the straight and made up plenty of ground as well, only beaten 2.8 lengths. So take into account, when you're doing the form of this meeting, the fence and leading. Race 5, we saw the resuming Scissor Kick sit in 4th position and was able to get hold of Delectation in the last few strides, to only win by 0.4 of a length. Delectation, they said, if it jumps and it looks like we can get up near the lead, we'll go forward, and that's exactly what happened. Delectation did jump, ridden by Horseman Bowman, and he went across to the fence and led, and finished off the fence. It was on his back. Harrier Jet from Barrier 1, it finished close to the fence, maybe not the place to be. It was only beaten 0.9 of a length. Delectation, as I say, led, and in the last 50 metres, when Horseman Bowman went for the shillelagh, he said to the Stipes, maybe the horse said, oh, hello, he's going to give me a cut with the cane here, and all of a sudden it changed stride and ducked in on him, and he was more or less holding the field at that point, but Scissor Kick, who was resuming, as I say, it kept on coming strongly down the outside after getting a good run in 4th position, and was able to beat it by 0.4 of a length. It was well back. We put it up $5, got out to $6.50 at one stage. It came back into $5.50 at one stage. You couldn't get the 6. It got out to $6 towards the end of betting. The runner that was sensationally backed in this race was Ins and Outs. It's going for a spell now, Ins and Out. We put it up $3.50, got out to $3.70. At one stage came into $2.90 Ins and Out, and it got back out to $3 towards the end of betting, and its chances were not helped when the gates opened, because it missed the kick by a good length and a half to 2 lengths, which is not the usual pattern for ins and outs, because when the gates open, it's like a bit of a jackrabbit. It hits the ground running, and when it never found the lead, and was made a bit of use of to get up outside the leaders, or outside the leader delectation. Well, it was never ever going to be able to win after being used up slightly after missing that kick, and it dropped out and ran last, beaten 5.7 lengths. Even if it would have found the lead and came out of the barrier, it wouldn't have won. It was in the hospital. Race 6, we saw the Avery here, Catkins, get the Charmer, ridden by Horseman Bowman. We saw Role Model, trained by I Own the Lead, go straight, ridden the brains out of by T. Clark, under instructions. I Own the Lead, don't give it away. It went straight to the lead, coming across from a wide alley, from the outside alley, 9 runners. It had barrier 9, Lily Bolero. It came and sat outside the leader, Role Model, and right on its back was the Avery, Catkins, and it took Catkins the entire length of the straight to get Lily Bolero right on the line. Catkins, we put it up $1.80. We got it out to $2.25. It was 5 to 4 on to 5 to 4 against 5 to 4. We said, but the punters said yes, that'll do us, and they had a large plate. And at the finish was $2.10. 10 to 9 the field, and hard to get that as well. And it, as I say, ground away and was able to get Lily Bolero right on the line to beat her by 0.1 of a length. And coming from 4th last position was the 3rd pick in this race, Mahiri, who was easy in the betting from, well, early in the piece they took the $6, was $5 out to $6, back into $5. Couldn't get the 550 at one stage, but got back out to start 6, even not 650 towards the end of betting, and it ran all right. It ran on all right, but it was beaten 2.4 lengths. On my website, I've written about the finish of races at Rosehill. I noticed it a long 3 decades ago at Rosehill, because the winning post is, well, after the winning post, the track starts to turn fairly quickly at Rosehill. Whether it's the horse, I think it's the horses, and also the riders. You'll see this race when Lily Bolero got past the leader, Role Model. Father Schofield was in the middle of the track at the 100-metre mark, but after the 100-metre mark, when they got close to the line, he kept on veering in, and this is what, you'll get beat all the time if you do that, especially if you've got a runner on the outside of you. It's best. It's no good telling the riders. Well, it's easy for me. The riders in the stand, it's very easy for me to sit here and tell these very professional horsemen that we have in Sydney who can hold their own anywhere in the world. But at Rosehill, all the time, when you get down, you'll see it. Well, how many times have you seen horses who finish out wide at Rosehill and run in that strut when they're very wide at Rosehill, come right down the outside? I think they're advantaged when the track is, when there's no bias on it, of course, because they're going in a straight line. But there would have been that many runners over the years at Rosehill who are leading, say, in the middle of the track, and the closer they get to the winning post, they start to veer in, because when you look past the winning post, the rail starts to turn, and whether it's the horses say, no, I've got to go over here because up here just past his winning post, I'm going to have to come closer to the rail, and that's what Lily Bolero did. And as he did that, Catkins followed him across, of course, which was an advantage to Catkins, and was able to beat him, as I say, by 0.1 of a length. It was a huge. It was 2 score difference to me. 2 score difference. I was on Lily Bolero at 16 and $15 for a good bit of section, and I petered catkins. Oh my God. Oh, you think it wasn't a big difference to this little Captain Cookie. Race 7, we saw the import here, Tales of Grim. Now this is a handy little performer, this Tales of Grim. It missed a kick by a clear 2 lengths and then railed up into third last position, eased off heels turning for home, wasn't held up trying to ease off heels, but Tales of Grim's rider, clever Kera McAvoy, was saying, hang on here, hang on. I know you've got plenty to offer here, son. You've got plenty to offer. And then the further they got up the straight, and then they started to fan, he was able to ease off their heels, and it's a very genuine galloper. And it put its head down, and it charged, and it was able to grab Tahitian Black, who was in front of it in the run, and come off their heels, as I say, and beat Tahitian Black by 0.2 of a length. We put it up a 9-2 chance, Tales of Grim, got out to $6.50. We came back into $5.50, but got back out to $6 at the end of betting. The favourite in this race, Woodbine, it sat in 7th position, in a good position, in a trailing position behind the 100-to-1 chance Big Bonanza, and unfortunately, when Tommy Terrific Berry, who him and his wife had their first little baby, congratulations Tommy Terrific, yesterday, and unfortunately for the Avery backers of Woodbine, it finished up running fourth, beaten 1.8 lengths, but having every possible chance. It was resuming from a spell today, and maybe the run will improve it. That's about all you'd say in that race. Well, it was very well backed. Foreign Prince from $10 into $6.50. The favourite was a bit easy in betting, from $2.30 out to $2.80, and was the only 2 or 3 runners not backed in this race. Not backed were Big Bonanza, who went from 50s to 100s, Nothing Like Luca, who went from $26 out to 41, and also Lucky Sound, who went from 31 out to 41. And there was section for every other runner in the race. Not that there was much per there. It was skinny as it was skinnier than olive oil. Now, race 8 came along, the last race, and here we saw maybe emphasising how the inside with the wind, and also the inside section of the track being a little bit sus, although the leader here, the 30-to-1 chance Spacecraft, who led, ran a almighty race, because it led and stayed close to the 18 pence all the way, and today's effort was a much improved run on its last 2 starts. It ran third, beaten 1 length only, and as I say, led on the fence and stayed close to it. Not the place to be. The very well backed Mighty Lucky, who pulled on its rider fairly badly in the first 800 metres of the race, ridden by Nathan Thomas, but it can do that, Mighty Lucky. It was $8 out to $10, back into Mighty Lucky, back into $6.50 towards the end of betting, and it ran second, only beaten the 0.2 of a length, and as I say, Spacecraft, who led, was beaten a length, and sucking up, even though it was a little bit off the track. No, it wasn't off the track. You'll Never, the second favourite here, it was inside the Bureau down the side, but then got to the outside of it coming to the turn, and the Bureau was half carting off the track on Mighty Lucky, and it got past Mighty Lucky at about the 200 metre mark, only by the head neck margin, and kept that margin all the way down to the line to beat it by 0.2 of a length. And as I say, repeating myself, it ran third, the leader spacecraft, and You'll Never. So first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth ran first, second, third, and fourth. And the runner that was sitting fourth in the run, getting a suck up along the fence, was the easing favourite, Diametric, who was having a second run from a spell. And the rider, Bowl Blake Shin, said it raced fairly flat today. And the horse's trainer, Chris Waller, said, no, we're going to step this runner up in distance. It's looking for further. It did come back 100 metres did it come back in distance? I'm in a coma. I've had too much red wine. It could have come back a little bit in distance from last start, but it's going up in distance next start, Diametric. It had its chance. It was, as I say, trailing the leader spacecraft on the fence, slightly held up, trying to get a split, but was safely held down to the line, and it ran fifth. So first, second, third, fourth, and fifth around the turn in the last race ran the first five. So that was about the meeting. Rosehill, well, Rosehill is Rosehill these days. You just the marketplace, at Rosehill, gee whiz, is becoming very sparse. You've got the usual suspects there only, the passing parade of three-wheelers with high heels and plenty of tattoos, I must say. Geez, those tattoos are an attractive thing, aren't they? The passing parade in and through the ring, and both ways. But of course, they're only sightseers. They're pen and inkers. That's how what the clubs do these days. All these meetings, everybody is more or less becoming a little bit bored, I suppose, with this TAB, the Totalisator Agency Board, the cancer of racing, in charge of racing. They pull all the strings, of course, these days. With them in charge, more or less, they're most probably just saying to themselves, well, we'll just wear everybody out. We've got a race every minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and those who go to the track, we'll burn them out completely, and we'll have it all to ourselves. One day we'll have everybody just sitting in the lounge room. We'll have the racetracks only becoming big pubs like they are now. Should have seen Canterbury last night. There were quite a few people there at Canterbury last night, but it was the more you just really survey the situation in the betting ring, and you do have a good look at what people and what punters there are there, and you realise, wait, there all those four people there, and those couple there, and those there, and that six over there. They're all got bottles of Terry Deer in their hand. Oh, look at all! They're all drinking Terry Deer, and it's just all it is a big pub. It's just a big pub with the Betfair crushers and the usual suspects just swimming around, waiting for the right move to try and throw the net over the Captain Cookies. And always remember, once you're in the net, you're in the net. Good evening.